Alright, welcome back to another ranking video. Last time we did one of these was about a year ago, but this time we are back with the series for real. Today we are bringing you every game from our Game Off series ranked from worst to best. So for a small percentage of this video, I am going to be joined by Jack, who's going to be covering a few of the games for me, and without further ado, let's get on with the ranking.
Hello everyone, so the 18th game I'm going to be talking about is Dredder. So what is Dredder? Dredder is a short mouse maze game with some horror elements to it. So basically the positives about this game is fuck! The positive about this game that it is fun to play around 3 AM if you want to play a scary game that around that time and be scared shitless as it's 3 AM. And it does put you on the edge of your seat and it is quite scary, and it is fun to play with your friends as well in a call or something like that, and it is unique according to some reviews on this game. The negatives about this game, according to people, it lagged for them, but I don't know if it was that it was their PC or whatever, like glitching, you know. Some of the mazes, like maze 3, was quite hard to do, and you could rage at that and break something like your TV, which you don't want to do unless you're a fucking psychopath. And some people even complained it was too short. In my opinion, it wasn't as good as the other games, so this is why we agreed to put it at number 18.
Slender Cursed Forest is a very boring game, with the map being far too big, resulting in the pages being too difficult to find. While this game does score more merit points over Dredder for being scarier, it doesn't change the fact that this game has little to no points of interest whatsoever, and you'll spend most of your time walking around in circles while Slender randomly appears to scream at you. Eventually we all quit this game out of boredom, as I'm pretty sure we spent around 45 minutes just walking around in circles to very little avail, only gathering around 4 or 5 of the 11 pages. Overall, very dull game, just narrowly missing the bottom spot. The JKLM website is essentially home to 2 different games, a word game and a pop culture quiz. It's all around very average though, as the word game gets stale pretty quickly, and the pop culture quiz doesn't have a particularly large pool of questions, so you'll find yourself answering questions you've already seen before. However, despite not being a particularly great site, JKLM can at least be considered as somewhat enjoyable, unlike the previous 2 entries on the list. And it's also the first entry on our list with multiplayer too. Okay, so coming in at number 15 is Google PACMAN, and this one was a tough one to rank, as I have 2 main arguments against this one. For one, PACMAN is one of the most iconic and beloved games out there, so reasonably I should rank it higher on the list. But on the other hand, this game is not technically part of the PACMAN franchise, just a Google spin-off, and thus not on the same caliber. After some careful deliberation, I decided to go with the latter side, giving it a tough but fair 15th place. But nonetheless, Google PACMAN scores higher than the previous 3 games for the main reason of replay value and a little bit of nostalgia.
So for number 14, I'm going to be talking about Paper.io. So firstly, what is Paper.io? Paper.io is an IO game where you are a square and you are trying to take over the map against other opponents. For example, you are the colour blue and you are trying to fill the map with your colour in a certain amount of time. You can take other people out by touching their line when they are trying to fill the area. So the positives about the game is that you can play against your friends by creating a party with them. It is also fun when you are bored. You can get it on desktop as well as phone. There are also other game modes out there like Battle Royale and stuff like that. You can also play it online and offline, so it doesn't need internet connection to play. The negatives of this is that when you are playing online and offline, you will be against bots. This results into the game being easy and it can get boring sometimes. Also, when you are using internet connection, advertisement videos may come up and they are annoying. Another downside was that I kept losing, so I got salty. And ended up not liking this. Yes, this is a stupid reason to a negative.
In Hole.io, you control sinkholes that grow in size through consuming the objects around you, but larger holes can suck you in.
That's what she said.
I don't find this game overwhelmingly better than Paper.io, but I ranked it higher anyway for 2 main reasons. Reason 1, I like the concept of destroying cities and landscapes more than drawing boxes, and reason 2, it's a lot more rewarding being higher up the leaderboard than Paper.io, as you can swallow larger structures and fend off against the other players. Despite being one of the most basic games in our list, Space is Key is actually really good fun to race your friends on. Sure, it's a simple 2D platformer, and sure, it's a very short game, but I like to go by the phrase short and snappy to describe this one. A simple concept, sure, but not every good idea has to be complicated to be enjoyed. I really like the visuals of this game particularly too, with the two contrasting colours of each stage, and also the little narrative the game gives you on each section is a nice added touch too.
For number 11, we have the hardest game ever.
That's totally wrong.
I mean, the clue is in the title, so we knew it was going to be hard. Now, let's not actually forget hard. For us three, it was impossible, especially me, because I'm absolutely shit at games. So the hardest game ever is where you are this square, trying to get through this level with blue balls. Don't get any.
That's what she said!
As each level goes on, the harder it gets. So when you go through levels, you also have to pick up these coins, which you have to collect before making it to the other side of the level. Now, the positive of this game is that it lives up to its name. It is the hardest game ever, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree with me. A lot of YouTubers have played it, including Markiplier, so it is a pretty well-known game. You can also challenge your friends to see who can beat who, which level can someone beat the fastest, and yeah, that's all the positives. So the negatives of this game, it is hard, well, obviously, and people may rage because of that and break things because of it. I am pretty sure Luke raged at it and smashed his desk at one point. And level 30 is also impossible, well, almost impossible to beat, and only a small percentage have beaten the game. And that is pretty much all the negatives for this game. We are now coming down to the top 10. For number 10, we have EvoWars.io. Evo Wars is a battle and fighting arena game which you can play on any device that has internet access. What you have to do is collect these orbs and kill your opponents to level up and grow up in size. You have to whack the shit out of people with a sword, and the more you level up, the bigger your sword gets, and your sword has a wide range to whack people when it gets bigger. But the more times you level them up, the more slower you get, like Luke in a race.
Shut the fuck up!
The positives about this game, in my opinion, that is, it is really fun and enjoyable. It is fun just to whack people with a big stick. I did read some reviews and a lot of people like it and really enjoyed it, and I think it is enjoyable, especially with mates, as you can see who can get to the highest level. According to some people, it is also addictive, but overall us three had a good time in this game.
If you haven't heard of The Impossible Quiz, then you must have been living under a rock. Regardless, The Impossible Quiz is arguably one of the most well-known web games to date, still getting regular plays from YouTubers such as iShowSpeed. Its main gimmick is asking you a series of trick questions, or questions that may make you think outside the box, while having a few mini-games here and there to break up the series of questions. I describe this game as a relic. And while this isn't my favourite game from the Game Off series, it doesn't change the fact that this game is easily one of the most memorable Flash games to surface on the internet, and thankfully with Flashpoint, The Impossible Quiz still lives on to this day. As expected, with one Impossible Quiz comes the other. The Impossible Quiz 2. I've already said my piece on how The Impossible Quiz is timeless, but I like the sequel more for its more enjoyable minigames, such as the balloon popping on question 99, the clever tic-tac-toe puzzle on question 23, and the much more challenging mazes furthermore. I also prefer this quiz for being able to actually use the power-ups without any repercussions, including the newly added fuse stoppers. Slithering into number 7 is Slither.io. From this game onwards, we are covering games that have a lot of replay value, and Slither.io is certainly an enjoyable web game. Eating pellets from the ground or other snakes allow you to grow bigger, and having other snakes headbutt you will kill them. It's a very balanced game like Paper.io, but unlike Paper.io, there's a slight reward for being number 1, as you were the biggest snake and could easily trap inferior snakes with your much larger tail. Also, fun fact, our Slither.io video was the very first Game Off video, and the game that started my journey you see today.
Coming in at number 6 is Mope.io. Mope.io is where you have to survive and climb the food chain to the biggest animal. You can spawn as an animal in a biome such as snow or jungle or desert biome, and you have to find food there to eat. If you are not big enough to eat the food, you cannot eat it. You are also challenged against other people who are smaller or bigger than you, and you have to try and eat them to get bigger and level up. Once you do level up, you get to pick the next animal you want to be and go to a different biome or stay in the same biome. It is also addictive, and each upgrade rewards you. It doesn't lag too much, which is good for an IO game, and the uniqueness in each animal is very good. The negatives about this game is that it doesn't have enough strategic elements. They did add more animal abilities and stuff like that, but I just feel like they need to add more to the game to make it more interesting. Another point is where you reach max level and you have finished the game. It would be nice to see a little more extra, like a new game mode when you have finished the game, or more animals or something like that. Overall, I still enjoyed this game and it was pretty fun to play and record. At number 5 we have Agar.io. I really don't need to explain what Agar.io is because I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of Agar.io and played it before, and if you haven't, go and search it up and have a go at it. So the positives about this game is that it's very well known and played by a lot of YouTubers like PewDiePie, which is the second biggest YouTuber on the platform. I personally love Agar.io as it is just a simple game and it is fun to play with your friends and try to beat each other in the game while trying not to get eaten at the same time. There is also different game modes you can play with your mates as well. The negatives about this game, it is pretty much dead and there isn't as many players as it was, and not many people do content and videos about the game anymore. At number 4 we have Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion. The objective of the game is to make it through 1,000 rooms of Spooky's Mansion and to endure the jump scares within. You will find these notes in some of the rooms giving clues on what's happened in the past and what's coming next. Around room 60 there would be this scary looking ghost chasing after you and trying to kill you, and you will have to try and run away from it. As each level goes on, the more scarier and harder it got. The positives about this game is that it was perfect for Halloween. We needed something to record and the game was perfect as it gave us so many jump scares and put us right on edge of our seats, and it was perfect for the theme. The game did live up to our standards and did scare the shit out of us, and us three did have a good time playing it. The negatives about this game is that it isn't multiplayer, so you can't play it with your friends and experience it with your friends. The other negative is that it does take around 4 hours to complete the main story, and for me, I could not do that in one sitting. I am a lazy person and I could not be asked to finish that.
Run 2, not walk 2, but run 2. The run games easily make 2 of the podium spots on our list, as these are easily the best Flash games of all time. I love the 3D parkour aspect of this game, but even more, the way you can jump into the walls to flip the gravity. This adds a whole new layer of strategy into the game, as you may find that in order to beat a level, you'll need to flip the gravity in a certain direction to find the right path. Both of the characters are really fun to play too, but I like the skater more for the more fast paced action. More characters, more levels, and more challenges for players to enjoy. Run 3 is a perfect game for me. With lots of levels for you and your friends to race on, this game has a fun blend of easy stages that can be cleared in one try to more tougher levels that require a little more planning. Another aspect of the run games I didn't mention in the previous entry is that certain stages have gravel tiles in them, which are more fragile and will start collapsing the moment the player starts stepping on them, which again adds yet another layer of challenge. What also puts this game higher than Run 2 is the fact that the levels all carry on in progression and you don't have to keep backing out to the menu to pick the next level. Overall, my personal favourite Flash game, and one that shall live on forever in our memories.
Finally, at number 1 we have Scribble.io. Scribble.io is where one person has to draw something while other people have to guess what it is. Scribble.io is such a positive game, and it is such a fun game to play with your mates and just mess around and draw all kinds of things. You can use custom words and you can be as rude as you want on the custom words. You can draw anything, including inappropriate drawings, and the game is well known and loads of YouTubers have played it, including the Sidemen. You can also kick people for the fun of it if you want to be a dickhead. It is also really fun to watch people, and in our opinion, mine and Luke's, we think it deserves number 1. The only negative thing I would give it is that sometimes people can get hacks for it and make a bot draw a really detailed drawing for them. But other than that, Scribble.io is the best game or video we have done. So I hope you've enjoyed this ranking video. We enjoyed making it, and if you want to see more, just comment down below, leave a like or subscribe or whatever, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.